Okay. And any more questions? Кто еще хочет задать вопрос? Есть вопросы? Руку. Аня, да.
Can you explain the main activities of people on Facebook, like, as I understand, it's reading newsfeed and sending messages, and what part of, like, what % of these activities is visiting fan pages? Is the one question, and the second one is before the pages you had communities and something like groups, yeah.
You still have.
Yeah, you still have, but now it seems to me like these groups and pages a little bit overlapped each other. What is your strategy in this case, and why did you decide to make pages, not stay with groups?
Yeah, absolutely. So the two questions, on the first point, on activity, it's a broad range. 400 million people don't just do one thing; they do kind of many different things. On the aggregate, the numbers that I know off the top of my head, it's like 2 billion chat messages sent per day, 200 million inbox messages are sent per day. I don't think 3 million status updates. 3 million people post 5 million status updates, I think, in a week or in a day. I can't remember. If you go to facebook.com/press.php, you'll get all of our public stats. So I don't know the number of people who use fan pages, but one of the great things about fan pages is they have that same viral property that photo tagging has, which is once someone's become a fan, their friends may not fan that page, but their friends will see that they are a fan of that page. And that's actually very, very powerful. We've done a lot of research on this for advertisers who want to know, how valuable is a friend or a fan of our page? How valuable is it that someone likes our page? As it turns out, it's very valuable. If you show an identical advertisement, one that's just the advertisement, one that's the advertisement that says, 4 friends are a fan, and one's the advertisement that says your 4 friends' names, the last is, each one is double the effectiveness of the previous. Right, in terms of reach, in terms of people clicking through and joining themselves. So we know it's very powerful. I don't know the numbers on how much people go there, but again, the point is, the beauty of these viral things is that you don't need everyone to participate for everyone to benefit. And that's really the powerful thing about it. As far as the groups and pages thing, so groups are very old in Facebook. They've been around since near the beginning. And it's really about people organizing around common interests. Whereas pages are specifically about either a commercial entity or a thing or a kind of precise concept, so to speak, and we're trying to cut back on the abstract things. I think we're all a fan of sleep. We don't need to say it on Facebook. So I think for the most part, they actually do serve pretty different use purposes, and we see our users using them very differently. That being said, the Groups product is up for a lot of improvement this year. We've got to do a lot of work there. So
because last year it seems to me like you didn't develop it at all.
We're working on it.
Ага, поймали, что не работают они. Да, Эндрю? Окей, есть еще вопросы?
Hi, Andrew. I'm Ivan. Just out of curiosity, what is the largest metrics you have in Facebook? You just told that you've got 2 billion commands per day, right? And what is in total?
The biggest metric, the biggest number I can think of?
Yeah, I mean business entity or something like that.
Oh, the biggest business entity. I think the biggest page on Facebook is Michael Jackson. I think he has like 6.5 million fans. He had about 3 million before he died.
So to be big on Facebook, you have to die.
You have to die. I'm sorry. It's true.
In a beautiful way or in a strange way.
But I think the other, as far as, maybe I'm misunderstanding the question, one of my other favorite stats to throw out there is to process newsfeed. And newsfeed is, people don't always realize that there's some intelligence there. There's two, when you log in today, there's the top news and there's most recent. Most recent is just a stream of activity. But top news is actually a kind of intelligently sorted list of stories, selected because we believe that it's there by the people you care most about or the types of content that you're most likely to enjoy. We process every day over 1 trillion possible newsfeed stories to show. And that's a ridiculous number. So that's my favorite metric.
Thank you, Andrew. У нас есть вопросы еще какие-нибудь? Я могу просто рассказать смешной кейс. мы с Антоном решили себе устроить субботник. У нас, знаете, прочитали интервью в «Ведомостях», что там вот этот проект Сколково, который называется, что там краудсорсингом его хотят развивать. И, соответственно, просто решили как бы сделать такой кейс. А что будет, если мы попробуем это сделать? Вот, очень интересно. За неделю где-то 400 человек пришло, но вот к вопросу о качестве этих людей.
Вы нас заставили.
Заставили. Никто никого не заставлял. Точно. Прикололись просто, да? Так приколы приколами, а 2 человека сделку сделали в форуме. То есть, понимаете, когда есть тема, которая собирает людей, тема, которая собирает правильную аудиторию, в Фейсбуке сейчас очень правильная аудитория. В результате вот в ЖЖ то же самое, это превратилось как бы в большую политическую войну. Как мы пробовали на разных платформах, везде, чтобы сравнить. В Фейсбуке это было обсуждение по делу, потому что никому не охота как бы выступать за общую судьбу, а у всех какой-то свой гешефт, свой интерес какой-то, все разруливают. Вот. И Вадим Гущин с каким-то инвестиционным банкиром договорился, что, значит, они как бы делают венчур, там, развивают какие-то технологии из Бауманского университета. Вот так в форуме. То есть я не знаю, как бы, что там работает, что нет, но очевидно совершенно, что с помощью Фейсбука можно собирать целевые аудитории, и между ними начинается взаимодействие, которого вы не программируете. Оно происходит как бы само собой. В разных кейсах. На самом деле, любой кейс вы берете, коммерческий, какой-то еще. Если вы правильно ставите задачу, собирается правильная аудитория, между ними что-то происходит. Есть какие-то еще... Вот, вопрос.
Алексей Дмитриев, Facebook application developer. Andrew, I want to ask a question about Facebook desktop. It's the most unusual thing about Facebook. It's there is no much information about Facebook desktop on the internet and the Facebook developer wiki. So could you say something about this part of your Facebook development platform and its future? Is there any perspective about this stuff, and is there any reason to learn how to develop a desktop application for Facebook platform?
I'll extend your question one step further. Is there any reason to learn desktop application programming at all? It's not. I think the desktop's. I don't think the desktop is dead. The Apple iPad comes much heralded, but I don't think it's going to kill the desktop. The desktop is going to live for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is it's the direct access to hardware, and the cloud is not quite yet cut up to the level of acceleration required to do a lot of applications. That all being said, for Facebook, the social desktop was an idea we were very keen on a few years ago, before the development of better browsers, basically, more modern browser technology, which enables us to do kind of much more interesting things in the browser. And now that we're on the verge of HTML5, Google Gears getting wider adoption, increase in mobile platforms in which the desktop is going to be increasingly fragmented between different devices, it just didn't seem like something worth spending as much time on. I think it's still a supported application developer framework. I think some major companies are working with that API and doing some interesting things with it. So yeah, it's out there. If you have a good idea, it's available, and it is something that we support. And you have my business card from earlier, so you can always email me questions and I can make sure to get to the right people. But I think in general, moving forward, we're much more focused on connecting with the other internet properties just because they're more dynamic. And if nothing else, social networks require that dynamic atmosphere. Static content doesn't need to be social, at least not as much.